Hi, my name is Michelle Sheppard. I am a radio show host at Joy FM, and here today to present you on Bent TV. And my guest today is Isabelle Langley, who is a transgender youth who decided to come and have a chat with me today. Hi, Isabelle.
Hi.
So, Isabelle, you and I were joking and having a bit of a chat over a lunch at a Christmas get-together for Transcend. And one thing you and I really observed was you never see trans youth and adults really getting together and having a chat and presenting on things, and we thought, let's take advantage of this particular platform and do that. What are some of the things that you find are really difficult for you as a youth currently at this point?
As a youth
As
being
a trans youth,
yeah. Like the trickiest part for me is, given I'm so young and I pass, people don't know immediately that I am trans, which is a good thing on most fronts, but on the other hand, it does mean I have to come out constantly.
Yeah.
Which mainly just because people don't know, and it's just such an uncomfortable conversation.
It can be. It
Like
really can be. But also, you know, I'm sure as well you would feel you need to subscribe to quite severe gender stereotyping as well in order to go and feel like you're passing. So one of the conversations you and I had about was things like your hair. Because as a youth, there are no secondary sex characteristics, and you know, what distinguishes you between the boys and the girls in the play yard is wearing pink and long hair.
Yeah, like when I was little, because like you said, no one has any secondary sex characteristics, having longer hair and having shorter hair is the childhood equivalent of a sex change. Like I spent so long wanting it to be longer and just wanting it to be pretty and feminine, and to the point where even now I've got this extreme anxiety about even just like little trims, because I feel like then I'm backstepping all of this work I've done to keep it so long and feminine. And
what about people who go and say, oh, but the kids, you know, how do the kids even know what, you know, that they're trans? How do they, you know, oh, I feel so sorry for them. You know, these young boys are wearing dresses, their parents are forcing them. What do you say to folks who say things about that?
No one would force us to do this. Like, life is objectively harder this way, and no one would be trying to do this to their child. Like, we do this because we are happier this way and more comfortable, and we know that it's right for us. We go through so very much therapy and psych sessions and interrogations just to make sure that this is what we want.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I think every trans child out there is very certain that this is what they want.
I was going to say, because I was saying to some adults actually recently, where they said to me, they go, well, how do they know, whatever. I said, let's be honest. They've had more psychological evaluation or actual counseling appointments than you probably ever had in probably your couple breakdowns that you've had. Like, there's this journey that you've gone through that if you don't know by now, well, you know, there's not going to happen. So.
Yeah. I just, like, if the doctors had any problems, they bring it up straight away and would let you know. Like, we know what we want. Like, I don't think people need to have any doubt. No one's brainwashed us. If anything, we've had so much encouragement in the other direction to stay male, as expected. People always saying, if you do this, you can't go back. Be careful. Like,
you're like, good.
It's like, cool, okay. Right? Like, that's what I want.
So how was it when family, when you came out? Like, it was really supportive, or were there any issues, or?
It was really supportive. I'm really lucky to be born into such an accepting family, and like my mum was on board right away. Like, she knew what to, because I'd talked about it a lot with her, and like she still, like, it took a while to get my message across, because at first I didn't know what I was feeling. I was just explaining my dysphoria, but I didn't know what it was yet. But once she realized, she was doing everything she could to help me. And so was my dad. He was awesome. It's just, like, he was definitely more skeptical at first, but like, he wasn't ever not supportive. He was, like, he was one of my biggest allies. Like, I'm really lucky in that degree.
No, really good. But what about when you came out and you started being more observant of the world around you? So things like news and television and adults around you. Did you see many trans role models like you, or anybody like you that you could look up to, or anything?
No adults. The only trans person I'd heard of at first was like in an American documentary, because that was the only thing I could find. I was not presented with any trans adults or role models, and like no one older than me or even peers. I thought I was alone. Like,
yeah, because it's that whole thing of, some people argue against this, but it's the whole, you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like I know myself as well. Like I didn't see anybody else around me that was like me at all, and so in some ways I had to become what I didn't see and actually start making that change as a change maker. How did you feel that you had to do some of the same?
Yeah, like at first you feel like some kind of pioneer in being trans, if that's a thing. Because like you don't actually know what people are going to become, so you have to be the one to set that example, which obviously wasn't the case, as I would soon find out. But I had no way of knowing that because I wasn't presented with in the media, or even with the internet at my fingertips. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, because most people, when I was trying to talk yesterday with some folks, and they said, but you've got folks like, you know, Laverne Cox playing, you know, Orange is the New Black. And I said, well, if you really look back at some of the role models or even the representatives we have, there are, you know, they're in prison, there's sex work, there's usually drug stories, or there's a man dressed as a woman in some of the stories. Sometimes, you know, it's appropriate to have someone who's cis play that character, depends on the role, but
it can't
again,
be the only thing we see.
They can't be the only thing we see.
Exactly.
You know? And so, you know, when you're looking at the youth coming out, and most of us are still in hiding and not having much support ourselves, so.
Like I've got a lot more to look up to now. Like I've got so many other trans peers and friends. I've got people like you who,
well, you know.
like I've got trans adults, so I know that, you know, I'm not going to stop existing once I get past the age of my current like child role model. Like it's just, I have a lot more security now knowing that I will have a life, and, you know, I'm not committed to being the first of my kind.
Yeah, yeah. But it's that fear for the parents as well, because the parents, they have, you know, this fear, because they also only have that representation in media and going, oh my God, my kid will only become this because there's no hope for my child.
They're going to become a sex worker.
Yeah, I know, right? Not shaming sex work, but when you feel like that's the only option you have, well, that's disappointing. But you yourself, you want to go into politics. Like, I'm excited by that.
Thank you. We are getting a growing trans population with about 1% in Australia, which is relatively high. But in certain fields, we still have practically nothing. Like, as you said, politics, there has never been a state or federal level politician who is trans in Australia, at least.
Hasn't.
And I haven't even seen any cases of it across the world. I'm sure it's happened somewhere. But
well, the US is starting to happen, so you're
I think at state level in America, there's a couple. But yeah, we don't really have that representation. Even now, most of the adults we see, it's more a role model for life, less an occupation, knowing that we can have comfortable, successful lives and not just be doomed based on our identities.
So future Minister Isabelle, I'm going to throw a question out to you that's a pushback from the wider society. So, you know, it's only 1% of the population, only 1%. Why should we cater for the only 1%?
Like, if we didn't care about the 1%, like you're the 1% of something, whoever you are. Like, if we don't care about people just because there's so few of them, why should we care about anyone?
Good point.
I don't know, like it's just...
No, totally agree.
I don't know, like it's, like just because we're so marginalized, people think we don't matter suddenly quite as much. Like it's, I do hate that, but
well, there's a lot of 1%, a lot of 2%, a lot of 3%.
And like if you pick anyone off the street, they will probably be in a 1% of some kind. Like, you know, I'm white, middle class, everything. I'm probably as average as you can get, save for my being trans. So really, that's my 1%. Everyone has a 1% of some kind, in my opinion.
Well, Isabelle, thank you so much for sitting with me and having a bit of a chat. And I'm looking forward to having more of these conversations in many of the spaces, whether it's Joy FM, whether here it's at Bent, and we'll follow along with your story with everyone else. So thank you so much. Well, you are watching Bent TV. My name is Michelle Sheppard. Talk to you soon.